By 1934, the New Deal was in full swing and Americans were benefiting. Millions of unemployed Americans had been put to work. Millions more had received direct aid to help meet basic needs. And confidence in the nation's future was surging. However, there was growing opposition to the New Deal. The Supreme Court of the United States had struck down the Agricultural Adjustment Act as unconstitutional, and also struck down the National Industrial Recovery Act as unconstitutional. The court ruled that these programs gave the federal government too much power over the states.
Extreme members from the political spectrum also had issues with the New Deal. Liberals felt that FDR hadn't done enough to help the poor and reform the economy to fix it forever. Conservatives formed the American Liberty League, and they argued that citizens' rights were in danger. And the most vocal critic of FDR and the New Deal was the senator from Louisiana, Huey Long. Long proposed a Share Our Wealth program across the country, guaranteeing land, food, and education for all. Due to Long's ideas and extremism, he was assassinated in 1935.
Convinced that the New Deal could fix the economy and help the American people, President Roosevelt responded to the opposition. It began with the Supreme Court. When the Supreme Court ruled that the Agricultural Adjustment Act and the National Industrial Recovery Act were unconstitutional, FDR felt he had to do something to get his New Deal programs through. What he proposed was a court reorganization bill. FDR proposed changing the Supreme Court from 9 justices to 15. Typically, his New Deal programs were opposed by 5 justices and supported by only 4. FDR felt, by appointing 6 new justices of his own, that he would get a majority in the Supreme Court, and this would allow him to have any of his New Deal programs judged to be constitutional. Unfortunately, FDR was criticized for what appeared to be a constitutional power grab. Many people saw this as a way of him circumventing the Constitution and the system of checks and balances. The court packing bill is commonly seen as the biggest mistake of Roosevelt's presidency.
Our difficulty with the court today rises not from the court as an institution, but from human beings within it. But we cannot yield our constitutional destiny to the personal judgment of a few men who, being fearful of the future, would deny us the necessary means of dealing with the present.
However, FDR backed down and abandoned his plans at court reorganization, and the American people forgave him.
With the majority of American people behind him, FDR proposes the Second New Deal. He also calls this the Second 100 Days. He acknowledged that there was still more to do. FDR launched a new wave of programs that focused on long-term recovery and more direct relief to American workers and farmers. To help farmers, FDR restructured the AAA to make it align with the Constitution. Once again, farmers decreased crop surpluses, which increased farm prices and farmers' incomes. With the NIRA struck down by the Supreme Court, FDR creates the Wagner Act. The Wagner Act creates the National Labor Relations Board, or the NLRB. It protected workers from unfair business practices and protected unions' rights to collectively bargain for better working conditions and better wages.
Roosevelt's Second New Deal also focused on providing direct relief to the unemployed and creating new jobs. FDR authorized the Works Progress Administration, or the WPA. In 1935, the WPA began putting Americans back to work. Its focus was to provide public works jobs to unskilled and professional workers. The WPA created 8 million jobs in various areas of life in America. Its workers built 850 airports and 125,000 public buildings. They laid 651,000 miles of road. They made clothes for the needy, and they provided jobs for struggling artists who painted murals on walls and posters for the various New Deal programs. While these jobs weren't permanent, the work gave people dignity and an income to spend with. One worker said, "Even when a man raked leaves, he got paid and he had some dignity." Waking up in the morning and having a job to go to really lifted the morale of the American people.
One of the longest-lasting programs of the New Deal was the Social Security Act. In 1935, FDR signed the Social Security Act creating the Social Security system. This system, which is still in effect today, benefits retirees, the elderly, and the unemployed. There are 2 facets to Social Security. The first is that Social Security provided direct relief to the unemployed and workers on disability. The unemployed temporarily received $15 to $18 a week to meet needs until they found work. The second facet is that Social Security provided retirement insurance to the elderly. It protected them against poverty and old age. Workers paid into their Social Security fund over the length of their careers. Once retired, they would receive a check monthly after the age of 65. In a way, the government was helping workers prepare for retirement by tucking away a nest egg for when they get older. When you are born, you get a Social Security number and a Social Security card. And when you get a job, you will pay into Social Security to prepare for your future.
While providing some direct relief, the dignity of work, and long-term reform, the Second New Deal laid the groundwork for recovery and security in the future.